She kicked the waiter in front of everyone, smiling as he lost everything over a single mistake. What she didn't know, the quiet woman at the next table wasn't just watching. She was the witch queen, and she'd just chosen who deserved power and who deserved consequences. The sauce splattered across the white dress like a crimson accusation. Ethan's heart stopped. The ceramic boat had slipped, just for a second, as he'd reached across the table at Luminaire, the city's most exclusive rooftop restaurant. One moment, he'd been carefully serving the béarnaise. The next, a scarlet streak painted itself across Cassandra Vale's shoulder and down her bodice. "I'm so sorry, ma'am. I'll get." The kick came before he could finish. Her heel connected with his ribs, sharp and brutal. Ethan stumbled backward, crashing into the dessert cart. Crystal glasses shattered. The entire terrace went silent except for the jazz quartet, who awkwardly faded their notes into nothing. "You incompetent piece of trash." Cassandra shot to her feet, her voice carrying across the rooftop like a whip crack. "Do you have any idea what you've done? This dress cost more than you'll make in a year." Ethan clutched his side, gasping. Around him, 50 wealthy diners stared with the casual cruelty of people watching a nature documentary. Entertainment, not intervention. "Ma'am, please, I can pay for the cleaning." "Pay." She laughed, cold and sharp. "You? You can't even hold a sauce boat without ruining someone's evening." She turned to the manager hovering nearby. "Pierre, I want this idiot fired.
Now.
Or I'm calling every critic I know and burying this place." Ethan's manager, a thin man who'd been kind exactly once in 3 years, stepped forward with his hands raised in appeasement. "Ms. Vale, I assure you. Fire him or lose me as a client. Choose." Pierre's eyes met Ethan's for just a moment. In that moment, Ethan saw his answer. He thought of Lila, his 6-year-old daughter, asleep at his neighbor's apartment. He thought of the overdue rent notice, the school supplies he couldn't afford, the birthday cake he'd promised her next week. "Ethan," Pierre said quietly, "collect your things." The words hit harder than the kick. Cassandra smiled, victorious, and reached for her champagne. But as she raised the glass to her lips, something strange happened. The liquid inside turned black. Not metaphorically. Not a trick of the light. The golden champagne transformed into something dark and viscous, like oil, like ink, like liquid shadow. Cassandra shrieked and dropped the glass. It shattered, and the black liquid spread across the white tablecloth in patterns that looked almost deliberate. Almost like words. Everyone stared. No one spoke. Then, from a table near the edge of the terrace, a woman's voice cut through the silence. "How interesting." Ethan looked up, still cradling his bruised ribs. She sat alone at a 2-person table, untouched food before her. He hadn't noticed her during service, which was strange because Ethan noticed everyone. It was survival in the service industry. But this woman seemed to exist in her own pocket of reality. She was perhaps 40, perhaps ageless. Dark hair wound into an intricate braid. Eyes that caught the candlelight and held it like amber preserving insects. She wore a simple black dress that somehow looked more expensive than everything Cassandra owned combined. And she was staring directly at Cassandra with an expression Ethan couldn't quite name. Not anger. Not disgust. Something far more dangerous.
Curiosity.
"That's quite a temper you have," the woman said, her voice carrying effortlessly despite its softness. "Tell me, do you make a habit of assaulting service workers?" Cassandra's face flushed. "Excuse me? This is none of your business." "I disagree," the woman stood, and Ethan felt the temperature on the terrace drop. Just slightly. Just enough to notice. "I make it my business to observe human character. And yours is illuminating." Pierre stepped between them, his professional smile strained. "Ladies, please, there's no need for." She kicked a man in front of 50 witnesses. The woman interrupted, still watching Cassandra like a scientist studying a specimen. "And your response is to punish the victim." How very predictable. Cassandra grabbed her purse, her hands shaking with rage. I don't know who you think you are, but… No, the woman agreed, something like amusement flickering across her face. You really don't. For just a moment, so brief Ethan almost missed it, the candlelight around the woman's table flared bright blue. Then it was gone, leaving afterimages on his vision. Cassandra must have seen it too, because she stumbled backward, suddenly pale. She looked at her ruined dress, at the spilled black champagne, at the quiet woman watching her with those amber eyes. This isn't over, Cassandra hissed, but her voice had lost its certainty. She turned and fled toward the elevator, her heels clicking like a countdown. The terrace slowly came back to life. Conversations resumed in uncomfortable murmurs. The jazz quartet started playing again, too loud, trying to drown the awkwardness. Ethan stood there, still holding his ribs, trying to process what had just happened. The woman returned to her table and calmly finished her wine. She didn't look at Ethan again, but as he gathered the broken glasses with shaking hands, he could have sworn he heard her whisper something. It sounded like, "Found you." 20 minutes later, Ethan stuffed his apron into his backpack in the staff area behind the kitchen. His ribs throbbed with every breath. His hands wouldn't stop shaking. He'd lost jobs before, hazard of being a single parent juggling childcare and work, but never like this. Never with such public humiliation. He pushed through the back exit into the alley, gulping the cool night air. You heal badly. Ethan spun around. The woman from the restaurant stood at the alley's entrance, backlit by streetlights. She shouldn't have been able to get back here. It was staff only, locked from inside. How did you… Your rib, she gestured vaguely at his side. It's cracked, not broken, but you'll want ice. And rest, which I suspect you can't afford now. Ethan stepped back. Look, I appreciate you speaking up in there, but I need to go pick up my daughter. Lila. She's 6. She's safe with Mrs. Chun in apartment 3B. The woman tilted her head. You're wondering how I know that. Every instinct Ethan had screamed danger, but his voice came out steady.
Yeah.
I am. Because when that woman hurt you, something rippled. The woman stepped forward, and Ethan saw her eyes weren't just amber. They shifted, like smoke behind colored glass. Something old and sleeping stirred awake. And I came to the city to find out what. She raised one hand. Light pooled in her palm. Real light, blue and cold and impossible. My name is Morgana, she said simply. And you, Ethan Cross, are much more important than you realize. The light in her hand pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Ethan's world tilted sideways, and everything changed. Ethan's back hit the alley wall. What are you? The light in Morgana's palm didn't flicker like flame. It held steady, patient, ancient. She closed her fingers around it, and the glow seeped through her skin like she was made of frosted glass. I'm someone who watches, she said. I observe how humans treat each other when they think no one important is looking. That woman tonight, Cassandra, she failed a test she didn't know she was taking. A test. Ethan's ribs screamed with every breath. She kicked me because I spilled sauce. There's no cosmic meaning there. Just a rich woman having a tantrum. Is that all you felt? Morgana moved closer, and Ethan realized she didn't walk normally. Her feet touched the ground, but she didn't disturb the puddles. Didn't make sound. When her heels struck you, did you feel only pain? Ethan wanted to lie. But the memory surfaced unbidden, that split second after impact when the world had gone white-hot and something inside him had surged upward like a defense mechanism he'd never known existed. He'd felt
First.
dangerous. Then it vanished so quickly he'd convinced himself it was shock. I don't know what I felt, he admitted.
Honest.
Good, Morgana stopped an arm's length away. This will hurt, but less than leaving it alone. She pressed 2 fingers against his side before he could protest. The pain evaporated. Not gradually. Instantly, like someone had flipped a switch. Ethan gasped and lifted his shirt. The bruise that had been blooming purple across his ribs was gone. Not healing.
Gone.
How? You have approximately 300 questions, Morgana interrupted. I'm going to answer one. The rest will come when you're ready. She reached into her coat and pulled out something small. This is for protection. Keep it close. She pressed the object into his palm. It was a smooth stone disc, no bigger than a coin, carved with symbols that hurt to look at directly. The moment it touched his skin, warmth spread up his arm. Protection from what? From the consequences of tonight. Morgana stepped back, and the streetlight behind her dimmed. Cassandra Vale will blame you for her humiliation. But more than that, she'll feel something is wrong with her life now. She'll search for answers in places she shouldn't. And when people like her go looking for power, she paused. They tend to find it. People like her? What does that mean? Cruel. Entitled. Desperate. Morgana's eyes shifted again. This time Ethan saw gold flecks swimming in the amber. The kind of person who kicks a waiter and feels justified. The kind who'll make deals they don't understand to reclaim what they think they've lost. The alley suddenly felt smaller. Colder. I don't understand any of this, Ethan said. I just lost my job. I need to figure out how to pay rent and feed my daughter, not whatever supernatural drama you're talking about. For the first time, Morgana's expression softened. Almost imperceptibly, but Ethan caught it. You're a good father, she said. That's why this matters. What stirred in you tonight, that protective instinct, that surge of power, it woke up because you have something worth protecting. Someone worth protecting. She glanced at the charm in his hand. Keep that close to Lila too. Let her hold it when she's scared. You're talking like something's coming. Something already came. Tonight, in that restaurant, Morgana turned toward the alley's entrance. I'll find you again when the time is right. Until then, the charm will warn you. If it grows hot, danger is near. If it glows, you're safe. And if it sings, she paused. Run. Wait, you can't just drop cryptic warnings and leave. But she was already walking away, her form blurring at the edges like she was dissolving into the darkness itself. The streetlights flickered once, twice, then blazed so bright Ethan had to shield his eyes. When he lowered his hand, she was gone. Ethan stood alone in the alley, holding the impossible stone that pulsed warmth against his palm. Above him, the city lights stuttered and swayed like something massive had disturbed the air. For just a moment, he saw patterns in the flickering, symbols that matched the ones carved into the charm. Then everything returned to normal. Except Ethan knew, with the certainty of someone who'd just had their world cracked open, that normal was over. He looked down at the charm. In the dim light, he could swear the symbols were moving, shifting, rewriting themselves. His phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Chen. Lila's asleep. Take your time. She drew you a picture, says it's her guardian angel. Ethan's blood went cold. Lila had never used that phrase before. Guardian angel. The charm grew warm in his hand, almost like it was responding, like it was alive. Somewhere across the city, in her penthouse apartment, Cassandra Vale stared at her reflection and watched cracks spread across the mirror like a web. They formed patterns, symbols, a message she couldn't read but understood instinctively. Everything she touched was going to break. And somewhere else entirely, in shadows that existed between places, Morgana smiled and began to weave. Cassandra woke to her alarm blaring at 6 a.m. sharp, the same as every morning. She reached for her phone and knocked over the water glass on her nightstand. Water spread across the white marble. She watched it pool, noticing how it moved in strange spirals instead of spreading naturally. Like it was avoiding certain spots. Like it was following invisible lines. She blinked, and the pattern disappeared. Just water. Just exhaustion from last night's drama. The shower turned ice-cold 30 seconds in. The coffee maker sparked and died. Her favorite Louboutin heel snapped clean off as she walked to her closet, snapped on carpet, which shouldn't be possible. You've got to be kidding me, she muttered, grabbing another pair. By the time her driver arrived, Cassandra had changed 3 times because her clothes kept tearing. Not it seems. In the middle of fabric, like invisible claws had ripped through, she'd settled on a navy Chanel suit that had, so far, stayed intact. Marcus, her driver of 5 years, didn't get out to open her door. Marcus. She tapped on the window. He rolled it down 6 inches. Ms. Vale, I'm giving my notice. Effective immediately.
What?
You can't. I have the Buchanan meeting in 40 minutes. I can, and I am. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Last night, you kicked a man for spilling sauce. A single father. I watched you smile while he lost his job. He finally looked at her. I've driven you for 5 years. I've listened to you mock servers, assistants, your own staff. I thought it was just how rich people were. But last night, I realized I don't want to be part of this anymore. Marcus, don't be ridiculous. I'll double your. It's not about money. He put the car in reverse. It's about who I can live with when I look in the mirror. Good luck, Ms. Vale. You're going to need it. He drove away, leaving her standing in her building's roundabout in a broken heel and a suit that suddenly felt too tight. Cassandra called an Uber, then another when the first driver canceled, then a third when the second's car mysteriously got a flat tire right outside her building. She was 20 minutes late to the Buchanan meeting. The conference room at Sterling Tower held 12 people who controlled $400 million in quarterly investments. Gerald Buchanan sat at the head of the table, his expression unreadable as Cassandra rushed through the door. So glad you could join us, Cassandra. Gerald, I apologize. Transportation issues. We've been discussing your proposal, he interrupted. His fingers drummed the table. The Riverside Development Project.
It was.
Ambitious.
Was.
Past tense. Cassandra felt something cold settle in her stomach. I've secured all the permits. The construction timeline is aggressive but achievable. We're pulling out. Gerald stood, gathering his papers. The zoning permits you claimed were secured? They expired last week. Apparently, someone filed complaints about environmental impact. The review process is being reopened. That's impossible. I checked yesterday. So did we. This morning, he slid a folder across the table. According to the city records, those complaints were filed months ago. But somehow, they only appeared in the system today. At 6:47 a.m., to be precise. Cassandra grabbed the folder. The complaints were real, detailed,
Damning.
and stamped with dates from 3 months ago that she knew hadn't been there before. This doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense is moving forward with a partner who can't keep track of basic due diligence. Gerald buttoned his jacket. We're done here, Cassandra. Good luck with your next venture. The room emptied. Cassandra stood alone, staring at documents that shouldn't exist, feeling the walls close in. Her phone buzzed. A news alert. Socialite Cassandra Vale caught on video assaulting waiter at Luminaire. Her hands shook as she opened the link. Someone had filmed last night. The angle was perfect, capturing her kicking Ethan, her vicious smile, her command to have him fired. The video already had 50,000 views. The comments were brutal.
No. 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 No.
She called her publicist. Voicemail. Her lawyer. Voicemail. Her assistant. Ms. Vale. Jessica's voice was cold. I'm actually glad you called. I quit. I'm emailing my resignation now. Jessica, wait. I've worked for you for 3 years. 3 years of abuse, belittling, and watching you treat people like garbage. That video? That's who you really are. I'm done enabling it.
Click.
Cassandra stood in the empty conference room, watching her reflection in the window. Behind her, the glass started to crack. Thin lines spreading out from where she stood, like she was the epicenter of something breaking. She spun around. The glass was perfect, unmarked. But when she turned back to the window, the cracks were there in her reflection, spiderwebbing across the mirror image of her face, spreading down her reflected body like fault lines in porcelain. The charm in Ethan's pocket, 15 blocks away, grew warm. And in the space between shadows, Morgana watched both of them with patient, amber eyes. The test continues, she whispered to no one. Let's see what you choose when everything falls apart. Ethan carried 2 bags of groceries up 4 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken again. The charm in his pocket had been warm all day, not hot, just persistently present, like a reminder he couldn't ignore. Lila sat on the apartment floor surrounded by crayons, drawing another picture. She'd been drawing obsessively since yesterday. Always the same thing, a figure with flowing dark hair, surrounded by blue light. Baby, it's almost bedtime. Start picking up. 5 more minutes. Lila didn't look up. I need to finish the protection circle. Ethan froze with a can of soup halfway to the cabinet. The what? The protection circle. Like the lady showed me, Lila added careful blue marks around the figure. She said it keeps bad things out. What lady, Lila? The one from your work. She came and sat with me and Mrs. Chin last night. Lila finally looked up, her 6-year-old face serious. She said you were going to need help soon. So she taught me the circle. The groceries hit the counter harder than Ethan intended. Mrs. Chun let a stranger into the apartment. She didn't see her. Only I did. Lila returned to her drawing. The lady said that happens sometimes. That kids can see things grown-ups forget how to see. The charm in Ethan's pocket flared hot. 3 knocks on the door.
Slow.
Deliberate. Ethan looked through the peephole. Morgana stood in the hallway, looking exactly as she had in the alley, except now she seemed to fit even less with the chipped paint and flickering fluorescent lights. He opened the door 6 inches. You need to stay away from my daughter. I haven't touched her. Morgana's eyes shifted to Lila. Hello again, little one. Lila waved.
Morgana.
I'm drawing your circle. Beautifully done. You have your father's precision. Morgana returned her attention to Ethan. May I come in? This conversation shouldn't happen in the hallway. Give me one good reason. Because 3 blocks from here, something is hunting. Morgana's voice dropped. It caught the scent of awakening power. Your power. And it's getting closer. Ethan felt it then, a crawling sensation on his skin, like being watched by something that didn't have eyes. He pulled the door open. Morgana entered, and immediately the apartment felt different. Safer. The shadows in the corners retreated. The flickering light bulb steadied. She knelt beside Lila. May I see? Lila handed her the drawing. Morgana studied it with genuine interest. You've marked the cardinal points correctly. And this symbol here, she pointed to a mark that looked like 2 crescents facing each other. Where did you learn this? You showed me. Last night. You said it means guardian watches here. I showed you the basic circle. But this, Morgana looked at Ethan with something like wonder. She added this herself. This is an ancient guardian mark. One that hasn't been used in 3 generations. I don't understand what's happening, Ethan said. His voice came out strained. Yesterday, I was a waiter. Today I'm hiding in my apartment from something that's hunting me, and my daughter is drawing magic symbols. Sit, Morgana stood, guiding him to the couch with surprising gentleness. I told you I'd explain when you were ready. That time is now. She moved to the window, looking out at the city lights. 300 years ago, there were families, bloodlines, chosen to guard the boundaries between the human world and what lies beyond. They were called guardians. They could sense when the veil between worlds grew thin, when things tried to cross over that shouldn't. That's a fairy tale. Is it? Morgana turned. Then explain what you felt when Cassandra hurt you. That surge. That moment when you knew, absolutely knew, you could destroy her if you chose. Ethan's mouth went dry. He hadn't told anyone about that feeling. Guardian bloodlines were thought extinct, Morgana continued. The last known guardian died in 1947. But last night, when that woman's cruelty struck you while you were thinking of your daughter, your need to protect her, it awakened something dormant. Something that had been sleeping in your blood for generations. This is insane. Daddy, Lila's small voice cut through. Your necklace is glowing. Ethan looked down. The charm wasn't in his pocket. It was around his neck on a cord he didn't remember putting there. And it was glowing blue, the symbols rotating slowly, like a combination lock finding its sequence. You're the last guardian. Ethan Cross. Morgana's voice was soft but absolute. And whether you accept it or not, you've already awakened. The things beyond the veil know it. They're coming to test you, to see if you're strong enough to hold the boundary. And if I'm not, then they'll come through. And your daughter, whose gentle, pure spirit shines like a beacon to both sides, will be the first thing they take. The charm's glow intensified, and suddenly Ethan could see them. Shadows moving on the walls that didn't match any light source. Shapes that almost looked human but moved wrong, bent wrong, existed wrong. Lila grabbed his hand. It's okay, Daddy. Morgana says you're really strong. You just forgot how to see it. Outside, something howled. Not a dog. Not anything that should exist in the city. Morgana's eyes blazed gold. Your training starts now. Or everything ends tonight. Cassandra's penthouse had become a nightmare. Every mirror showed cracks that disappeared when she looked directly at them. Her designer clothes tore the moment she tried them on. Food spoiled instantly, fresh fruit rotting to black mush in her hands. Her phone screen shattered 3 times in one day despite sitting untouched on her counter. And the video. That damn video had gone viral. 2 million views. Her face plastered across gossip sites with headlines like, "Rich monster attacks innocent father," and "Karma is coming for Cassandra Vale." Her investors had fled. Her friends stopped answering. Even her doorman looked at her with disgust now. She'd tried everything. Saged the apartment. Called a priest who'd refused to come after seeing the video. Visited a crystal shop in Soho where the owner had physically pushed her out, claiming Cassandra's energy was poisoned. It was 2 a.m. when Cassandra finally found the card slipped under her door. Black cardstock. Silver lettering. No business name, just an address on the outskirts of the city and 4 words, "I can help you." She should have thrown it away. Should have recognized it for what it was, bait. But desperation makes people stupid. The estate sat behind iron gates 20 miles from the city, hidden by trees that looked too dark, too thick, too deliberate. Cassandra's new driver, the 4th one this week, refused to go past the gate. "I'll wait here," he said, not meeting her eyes. 30 minutes. Then I'm leaving with or without you. The house itself was old money, the kind that came with secrets and locked rooms. Gas lamps flickered along the pathway despite the modern world existing just miles away. A man waited at the door. Tall, sharp-featured, with silver streaking his black hair. He wore an expensive suit that somehow looked wrong, like a costume rather than clothing. "Ms. Vale, I've been expecting you." His voice was silk over razors. "My name is Lorcan Thorne. Please come in." The interior was museum perfect. Dark wood, leather furniture, paintings that probably cost more than her penthouse. But something was off. The shadows were too deep. The air too still. And was that frost on the windows? In September. "Your card said you could help me." Cassandra tried to sound authoritative, but her voice cracked. "I don't know what's happening, but everything in my life is falling apart." "I know exactly what's happening." Lorcan poured 2 glasses of wine from a crystal decanter. "You've been cursed." The word hung in the air like a death sentence. That's not real. Isn't it?" He handed her a glass. "Tell me, has anything normal happened to you since Friday night? Since you kicked that waiter at Luminaire?" Cassandra's hand shook. How do you know about that?" "Because I know who cursed you." Lorcan's smile was cold. "There was a woman there that night. Dark hair, amber eyes, sitting alone. She spoke to you." The memory hit hard. That woman. The way she'd looked at Cassandra like she was an insect under glass. The champagne turning black. The temperature drop. "Who is she?" "Her name is Morgana." Lorcan's voice dripped with venom. "And she's the reason your life is crumbling. She marked you that night. Judged you. And now she's systematically destroying everything you've built."
Why?
"Because I kicked some waiter? Because you revealed your character." Lorcan circled her slowly. "Morgana has old-fashioned ideas about justice, about punishment. She likes to test people. And when they fail, she makes them suffer." Cassandra felt tears burning. How do I stop it? How do I fix this? That's the interesting part. Lorcan stopped in front of her. The curse isn't really on you. It's on the waiter, Ethan Cross. Morgana gave him something.
A charm. Power.
She awakened abilities in him that were meant for someone else. Someone worthy. He leaned closer, his breath cold against her face. She chose him over you. Gave him the power that should have been yours. That's why everything's falling apart, because the universe recognizes the injustice.
You were meant to be tested that night. You were meant to receive the gift.
But he stole it with his pathetic victim act. It was a lie. Every word was poison wrapped in silk. But Cassandra was drowning, and Lorcan was offering a lifeline. What do I do? We take back what's yours, Lorcan's eyes glinted. I can teach you to reclaim the power Ethan stole. But first, you have to prove you're willing to do whatever it takes. He pulled out a small vial of something dark and viscous. It moved inside the glass like it was alive. Drink this. It will open your eyes. Let you see the world as it really is. See the power that was meant for you. Cassandra stared at the vial. Every instinct screamed danger. But her Instagram had lost 200,000 followers. Her bank had called about irregularities. Her own mother had blocked her number. She took the vial. What happens after I drink it? Lorcan's smile widened, showing too many teeth. Then we go hunting. And we remind Ethan Cross and his witch protector that power belongs to those strong enough to take it.
Cassandra drank.
The liquid burned going down, tasting of copper and ash and something ancient. Her vision blurred, then sharpened. And suddenly she could see them. Shadows moving in corners, whispers in empty air, threads of light connecting everything like a vast, invisible web. And in the distance, burning bright like a beacon, a single point of golden light. That's him, Lorcan whispered. That's the thief.
Can you feel it?
Your power, stolen and given to the unworthy. Cassandra could feel it, or thought she could, or had been convinced she could. It didn't matter anymore. She was already lost. The forest ruins were impossible. They sat just 40 minutes outside the city, hidden behind an abandoned industrial park that shouldn't exist on any map. Stone pillars covered in moss and symbols that predated language. An altar worn smooth by centuries. And absolute, perfect silence, no birds, no insects, no wind. This place doesn't feel real, Ethan said, helping Lila over a fallen pillar. It's between, Morgana replied. Not fully in your world. Not fully in the realm beyond. A training ground for guardians since before this city had a name. She turned to face them. Here, you can practice without drawing every spirit for miles. Mostly. Nothing's guaranteed. Morgana knelt before Lila. Sweet one, I need you to sit at the center stone. Draw your protection circles. If anything comes that I don't invite, you seal yourself inside. Understand? Lila nodded seriously and skipped to the altar, her backpack full of crayons bouncing. Morgana waited until Lila was occupied, then faced Ethan. What do you know about what you are? You told me I'm a guardian. Last of some bloodline. That I'm supposed to protect boundaries between worlds. Ethan crossed his arms. What I don't know is how. I'm a waiter. I serve food. I don't fight interdimensional monsters. You've been fighting your whole life. Morgana moved to a clear space between pillars. Every time you stretched a paycheck to feed Lila. Every time you smiled through being treated like garbage. Every time you chose kindness when cruelty would have been easier. That's guardian work, protecting what matters despite the cost. That's just being a decent person. Exactly, Morgana's eyes glowed, faint gold. Guardian power doesn't come from magic. It comes from will. From the unshakable decision to stand between threat and innocent, no matter what. She gestured around them. The magic is just a tool. But the choice? That's what makes you dangerous. She raised one hand, and symbols blazed to life across the ruins. The same marks from Ethan's charm, from Lila's drawings. First lesson, sensing. Close your eyes. Ethan obeyed, feeling ridiculous. The veil between worlds isn't a wall, it's a membrane, constantly shifting. When spirits press against it, reality bends. You can feel those bends if you stop thinking and start sensing. I don't feel anything. Stop talking. Morgana's voice was patient but firm. Your daughter can already sense them naturally. Children often can. You've just spent 30 years being told magic isn't real, so you stopped looking. Now look. Ethan took a breath. Then another. Let his awareness expand beyond his body. And suddenly he felt them. Pressure points in the air. Places where reality felt thinner, stretched, like fabric worn too long. They pulsed with alien rhythm, not quite alive, but not quite empty. I feel holes, weak spots.
Good.
Those are places where the veil is thin. Where things can push through if they're strong enough or desperate enough. Morgana moved behind him. Now, reach for the charm. Don't touch it. Just reach with your mind. The charm warmed against Ethan's chest. He focused on it, and something inside him responded. Energy, ancient and patient, uncoiling like a sleeping serpent. Now push that feeling toward the nearest weak spot. Not hard, just a touch. Like sealing an envelope. Ethan tried. The energy moved sluggishly at first, then flowed. Where it touched the thin place, reality firmed. The wrongness disappeared. Then his knees buckled. Morgana caught him. Every use costs energy. Your energy. The more you do, the more it drains. That's why guardians worked in families. They could share the burden. But I'm alone. You have Lila. And you have me. Morgana helped him sit.
Rest.
Then we try summoning. An hour later, Ethan could feel 6 weak points and seal 3 before exhaustion hit. Progress, Morgana said, for someone who'd awakened 72 hours ago. Lila remained at the center stone, drawing elaborate protection circles that somehow looked ancient despite being made in crayon. Daddy, her voice cut through his concentration. There's something here. Ethan's eyes snapped open. Lila stood perfectly still, staring at the space beside her. What is it, baby? It's small and hungry, and she tilted her head. It's scared. Morgana moved faster than should be possible, positioning herself between Lila and... Ethan saw it, finally saw it. A shadow the size of a cat, but wrong. Too many angles. Edges that didn't quite exist. It crouched near Lila's drawings, trembling. Scavenger spirit, Morgana said quietly. They feed on emotional energy. Usually harmless, but she turned to Ethan. It shouldn't be here. The ruins are warded. Unless... Unless what? Unless your awakening is stronger than I thought. You're broadcasting so much power that even protected spaces can't hide you. Her expression darkened.
They know about you now.
All of them. The weak ones like this will come first, curious. But others will follow. The shadow thing inched closer to Lila. She held out her hand, and impossibly, it nuzzled her palm like a cat seeking affection. It's lonely, Lila said softly. It got lost and can't find its way home. Lila, don't. Ethan started forward. But Morgana grabbed his arm.
Wait.
Watch. Light bloomed around Lila's hand. Not blue, like Morgana's magic.
Gold. Warm.
Gentle. The shadow creature soaked it in, growing more solid, more real. Then it chirped, actually chirped, and faded, disappearing like morning mist. She sent it back, Morgana whispered. Across the veil. I've never seen, she looked at Ethan with something like awe. Your daughter has inherited your gift. But where yours is defensive, protective barriers and sealing, hers is restorative. She can heal the veil itself. Is that good? It's extraordinary. It's also terrifying. Morgana's voice went grave. Because if the wrong things realize what she can do, they won't just want to cross the veil. They'll want to possess her. Use her power to tear it down completely. The charm around Ethan's neck flared hot. Then burning.
They're coming, Morgana said.
Not scouts. Hunters. We need to leave.
Now.
But when they turned toward the path out, shadows were already gathering.
Dozens of them. Growing. Solidifying.
And somewhere in the city, Cassandra Vale opened her eyes, now black from edge to edge, and smiled with Lorcan's poison in her veins. "Found you," she whispered. The street festival should have been safe. Oak Ridge Street was blocked off for the autumn market, families, food trucks, live music. Ethan had thought crowds meant protection, that whatever was hunting them wouldn't attack in public. He'd been wrong. "Daddy, the hot chocolate man is looking at us funny," Lila whispered, gripping his hand tighter. Ethan glanced at the vendor. The man's eyes were glazed, unfocused. His hands moved mechanically, pouring drinks, but his head turned, tracking Ethan and Lila with predatory precision. The charm seared against Ethan's chest. "We need to go." Now he scooped Lila up, scanning for exits. But the crowd had thickened impossibly fast, pressing in from all sides. People moved in synchronized patterns that looked natural until you really watched. Until you noticed they were all slowly, deliberately, boxing him in. Ethan Cross. The voice cut through the festival noise like a knife through silk. Cassandra Vale stood 20 feet away, and she was wrong. Her designer coat hung perfectly, her makeup was flawless, but her eyes were completely black. Liquid shadow where whites and irises should be. "You stole from me," she said, her voice layered with something else beneath it. Something ancient and furious. That power, that gift. It was meant for me. "Cassandra, whatever someone told you, it's a lie." "Lies," she screamed, and the crowd flinched. "My life is destroyed. Everything I built, gone. Because SHE chose you." Cassandra raised her hand, and shadow peeled away from the buildings, coiling around her fingers like living smoke. "Give it back. Give me what's mine." The shadow lashed out. Ethan dove behind a food truck, shielding Lila with his body. The shadow struck where they'd been standing, and the pavement cracked, frost spreading outward in jagged patterns. People started screaming, running. But they moved wrong, too slow, like they were wading through water. The festival had become a trap, reality itself distorted. "Daddy, the bad man is here too," Lila said, pointing. Lorcan emerged from the crowd, applauding slowly. Unlike Cassandra's chaotic fury, he radiated cold control. "Magnificent," he said. "The last guardian and the miracle child. Morgana really has been busy." His smile was razor-sharp. "Did she tell you about me, Ethan? How she banished me 50 years ago for breaking natural law? How she scattered my power to the winds? I don't care about your grudge." "Oh, but you should." Lorcan's eyes flashed silver. "Because you're going to help me get it all back. That guardian energy coursing through you? It's not just protection magic. It's raw power. The kind that can break a banishment. Shatter a curse." He gestured, and symbols blazed to life across the festival grounds. The same marks from the ruins, but inverted. Corrupted. "This is a siphon trap. Every ounce of power you use to defend yourself feeds directly to me. Fight and make me stronger. Don't fight and watch everyone here die slowly as I drain their life force instead." Lorcan's grin widened. "Choose." The shadows multiplied. Not just Cassandra's, dozens more, pouring from alleys and doorways. Scavenger spirits grown massive and hungry, drawn by Lorcan's ritual. They fell on the frozen crowd like wolves. "No." Ethan set Lila down. "Stay behind me." The charm burned white-hot. Energy surged through him, the guardian power awakening fully, desperately. He thrust his hands forward, and golden light exploded outward, forming a barrier. The spirits recoiled, shrieking. The barrier held. And immediately, Ethan felt himself being drained, his energy flowing out through invisible channels, feeding directly into Lorcan's trap. He could see it happening, golden light siphoning through the corrupted symbols, pooling around the warlock. "Yes," Lorcan breathed.
"More.
Fight harder. Give me everything." Cassandra attacked again, shadow whips cracking against the barrier. Each impact cost Ethan more. His vision blurred. His legs shook. "Daddy." Lila grabbed his hand. "You're doing it wrong. Baby, I have to protect."
No.
"Not protect. Heal." Lila pressed her small palms against the barrier. "Like the lonely spirit.
We don't keep them out.
We send them home." Her touch changed everything. Where Ethan's power was a wall, Lila's was a current. It flowed through the barrier, transforming it from shield to conduit. And instead of blocking the spirits, it touched them, healed them, reminded them what they'd been before corruption. The spirits stopped attacking. One by one, they began to dissolve, not destroyed, but returned, sent back across the veil to where they belonged. "What? No." Lorcan's expression twisted. "That's impossible. She's a child. She's a guardian." Morgana's voice rang out. She appeared at the festival center, reality splitting around her like a curtain. In her true form, Morgana was terrifying. Taller, crowned with light, eyes blazing like stars. "Hello, Lorcan. I see banishment taught you nothing." The warlock stumbled back. "You can't be here. This trap was warded against you. Against me entering. But they invited me in." Morgana gestured to Ethan and Lila, their combined power still flowing, still healing. "The guardian and his heir. There will supersedes your parlor tricks." Ethan felt it then, the trap reversing, the siphon symbols cracking. Instead of draining him, they were draining Lorcan, pulling back the stolen power, the corrupted magic.
No.
Lorcan raised his hands, trying to break free. But Morgana was already moving. She touched one symbol, and the entire trap inverted completely. Light exploded through the festival, burning away shadows, shattering corruption. Lorcan screamed as his stolen power was ripped away. He collapsed, suddenly looking old, fragile, human. Cassandra fell to her knees, the black fading from her eyes. She blinked, confused, then looked at her hands, at the destruction around her, and horror dawned. "What did I do?" she whispered. "Oh God, what did I do?" The crowd unfroze. People stumbled, disoriented but alive. The spirits were gone. The trap was broken. Ethan sagged, completely spent. But Lila caught him, her small arms surprisingly strong. "You did good, Daddy." Morgana stood over Lorcan and Cassandra, her expression unreadable. "Now," she said softly, "comes judgment." The festival grounds cleared slowly. Morgana had woven a veil of forgetfulness over the crowd. They'd remember a gas leak, evacuation, nothing more. But for those at the center of the storm, there would be no forgetting. Lorcan knelt on the cracked pavement, powerless and ancient without his stolen magic. Cassandra sat nearby, trembling, her designer coat torn and stained. Morgana circled them both, her true form still visible, towering, radiant, terrifying. 50 years ago, Lorcan Thorn, I banished you for using human suffering as fuel for power. You swore you'd reformed. Her voice carried the weight of centuries. You lied. I only wanted what was mine. You wanted dominion. Morgana's eyes flashed. You saw a frightened woman and fed her poison, turned her pain into a weapon, used her to attack a guardian and an innocent child. She raised one hand, and Lorcan began to fade. Not dying, dissolving, becoming translucent. What are you doing? His voice turned thin, desperate. Sending you where you belong. The space between spaces. Not dead, not alive. Conscious, but powerless for the next century. Morgana's expression was merciless. When you emerge, perhaps you'll have learned that power without compassion is just cruelty with a crown. Lorcan opened his mouth to scream, but no sound came.
He simply ceased.
Faded like morning fog until nothing remained. Morgana turned to Cassandra. The woman looked broken. Mascara streaked her face. Her hands wouldn't stop shaking. She stared at the spot where festival goers had been frozen, where spirits had attacked, where she'd attacked. I didn't know, Cassandra whispered. He said you'd curse me. That Ethan stole power meant for me. I just wanted my life back. I didn't want to hurt anyone. You hurt someone before Lorcan ever touched you. Morgana's voice was quiet but absolute. You kicked a man. Smiled while he lost his livelihood. You did that of your own free will. I know. Tears fell freely now. I know. I was cruel. I've been cruel for years. I thought being powerful meant being above consequences. Above other people. She looked at Ethan, who stood nearby with Lila in his arms.
I'm sorry.
I know that's not enough. I know sorry doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. Ethan met her gaze. Saw genuine remorse there, raw and painful and real. I accept your apology, he said quietly. But I'm not the only person you've hurt. I know, Cassandra's voice cracked. There are so many. Years of them. Morgana studied her with those ancient amber eyes. Your corruption wasn't Lorcan's doing. He merely amplified what was already there. The cruelty. The entitlement. The belief that others exist to serve you. What happens to me now? Cassandra's question came out small, childlike. That depends on you. Morgana knelt before her. I could banish you like Lorcan. Erase you. But I sensed something in you that wasn't in him, the capacity for genuine change. So I offer a choice. She touched Cassandra's chest, right over her heart. I mark you with consequence. From this moment forward, every time you harm someone, through word, action, or intention, you will feel their pain. Physically, emotionally, completely. You will carry the weight of every cruelty you inflict. Cassandra gasped as silver light sank into her skin. This curse cannot be broken, cannot be transferred. It will last until you've truly transformed, until causing pain becomes impossible for you, because you've learned to value others as much as yourself. Morgana stood. That may take years, decades, perhaps your entire life. And if I fail, if I can't change, then you'll live in agony of your own making. A fitting punishment. Morgana's expression softened slightly. But I don't believe you'll fail. The fact that you're asking means you've already started. Cassandra touched her chest where the mark glowed faintly beneath her skin. What do I do now? Begin the work of repair. Find everyone you've hurt. Make amends where possible. Change what you can change. Morgana gestured to the festival grounds. And perhaps start by volunteering somewhere you'd normally never go. A soup kitchen. A shelter. Somewhere that reminds you that power is meant to serve, not dominate. Cassandra nodded slowly, then looked at Ethan again. I meant what I said.
I'm sorry.
For everything. Ethan shifted Lila in his arms. Then prove it. Not to me, to yourself. Cassandra stood on shaking legs and walked away. Not toward her penthouse, not toward her old life. Just away, toward the long road of redemption that stretched before her. Morgana turned to Ethan and Lila, and her true form began to fade, leaving just the woman from the restaurant, smaller, quieter, almost human. You did well, Guardian. Both of you. What happens now? Ethan asked. More training? More threats? Now you live, Morgana smiled. Your power is awakened. Stabilized. You'll continue to sense weak points in the veil, but they'll be manageable. Routine. And Lila, she touched the child's cheek gently, will grow into her gift naturally, with your guidance. Do we stay in the city? There's a district, Eastmere. It sits on the boundary between worlds, protected, peaceful. Humans and aware beings live together there. Guardians have always made homes in places like that. Morgana handed Ethan a key. An apartment. Paid for. Near an excellent school. Consider it thanks for holding the line when it mattered. Ethan stared at the key. Why are you helping us? Because Guardian bloodlines are meant to be treasured, not hidden. Because that little girl healed a corrupted spirit with pure instinct and compassion. And because Morgana's voice softened. Because I've watched humans for a very long time. Most fail my tests. But you, both of you, passed. You chose protection over revenge. Healing over destruction. That's worth preserving. She began to fade into shadow. Will we see you again? Lila asked.
When you need me.
Or, when the world needs you, Morgana's voice echoed.
Guard well. Ethan Cross.
Your daughter is counting on it. Then she was gone. 3 months later, Ethan stood in the kitchen of their new apartment in Eastmere, making breakfast. Lila sat at the table drawing, not protection circles anymore, just regular kid stuff. Princesses and dragons and flowers. Through the window, he could see their neighborhood. Normal families. Normal lives. Except for the occasional shimmer in the air where the veil was thin, the shadow cats that Lila fed scraps to, the way certain neighbors nodded at him with knowing eyes. The charm hung around his neck, warm and quiet. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Gallery opening tonight. Thought you might like to see what I've been working on.
See.
An attached photo showed Cassandra in paint-stained clothes, standing in front of canvas portraits. Not of beautiful people or expensive things. Of service workers. Waiters. Cleaners. The invisible people she'd once treated as furniture. The text continued. Still learning. Still trying. Thank you for the second chance. Ethan smiled and set the phone down.
Daddy.
Lila looked up from her drawing. Do you think the mean lady will be okay? I think she's trying to be. That's all anyone can do. Good, Lila returned to her drawing. Everyone deserves to be better. Outside, reality hummed with the quiet magic of ordinary miracles. And Ethan Cross, waiter, father, guardian, felt something he hadn't felt in years.
Peace.
The world kept spinning. The veil held strong. And somewhere in the spaces between, Morgana watched with satisfied amber eyes, already searching for the next human worth believing in.
The end.